Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. A little damp outside. Still warm, but I
Yeah,
guess
it is warm and yucky.
Was it Friday or
Yeah,
one day
Friday.
it's supposed to get cold and 40s for highs and 50s.
And all next week it's going to be cold.
Yep, it's going to be a little cooler than we have had. But again, we'll all be 80 on Christmas Day,
We
so
may
you just
be,
never know. It's
yeah.
Oklahoma where it may be 10 below. So anyhow, we'll just take it one day at a time and remember the Lord made it, and
Yep.
we're going to just say, bless you, Lord, and rock on with it. We'll be back in Psalms 121 again today. Yesterday we looked at the first two verses as we kicked Monday off. So I look up to the mountains. Does my help come from there? Nope. David said, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And that's what we need to remember. And so in verse 3, where we'll pick up today, he will not let you stumble. Over in Psalms 120, David writes, he said, actually, this is an anonymous psalm on this 120, not for sure. I think maybe Hezekiah wrote it. But anyhow, it said, I took my troubles to the Lord. I cried out to him. He answered my prayer. And that's the thing. He said, my help comes from here, from the Lord who made heaven. He will not let you stumble. The one who watches over you will not slumber, go to sleep, or get bored, tired of you, forget about you. Indeed, he watches over Israel. Notice it never slumbers or sleeps. Now, strike yours there and put your name there. He watches over you. He's not asleep. He's not wore out. He's not tired. He's not scratching his head, trying to think, man, how am I going to get them back up? They've stumbled. They fell. They've been doing dumb stuff. Like I said yesterday, you can't let God down because you're not the one holding him up.
That's right.
He's not going to be disappointed in you. Will he discipline you if you're not doing things right? Yes, he will. He disciplines those whom he loves. It said if he didn't discipline us, that would prove that we're illegitimate, and that proves that we are. But so don't think that that you can't cry out to God and ask for help in any way, and then he will not let you stumble. And if you look at this and study that, it means that fall flat on your face. Sometimes we'll stub our toe and kind of stumble, bumble around. We'll get off the track of that straight, narrow way at times. We all do it. But he'll not let us fall plumb down that we can't recover. Remember that. And that then the one that watches over you will not sleep, will not get bored, will not look away. Because he promises to never leave us nor forsake us. So if you're battling something today that you're really thinking that you don't know how to get out of, you're in a pit, that you fell down, that you have fallen on your face, know that you can cry out to God and don't look to anything else but him. That's why I believe David started this. I look up to the mountains. Does my help come from there? I can look to whatever, like we said yesterday. Don't look at anything but fix your eyes on Jesus. As Hebrews says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author, the finisher, and the perfecter of our faith. Then go run your race with endurance. And then it's the race that God lays out for us. So if you're stumbling along and you felt like you're down and you can't get up, I promise you, put your faith in him and quit looking at whatever. And a lot of times, I've done this in my life a lot, is we start looking at the problem, we start asking ourselves, why did I do that? That's irrelevant now because you've done it. What you need to do is say, okay, Lord, how can I get out of this to get back up on my feet and not do it again? Learn from it, yes, but don't keep, because we all make mistakes. We're none of us are perfect. But I'm a firm believer in this. If you do it multiple times over, it's not a mistake. No longer it's a choice. It becomes your choice. If somebody says, hey, I need you to do this or need help with this, and you say, well, I'm busy today, and that may be true, okay. But then on days then you go off and do your own thing, or the next day and they keep asking you and you won't do it or won't help, that then becomes a choice, in that. And a lot of times it's that way in anything. Or I was counseling a guy one time that had a drinking problem, and he said, well, my wife stresses me out, so I drink. Okay. Well, then my job stresses me out, so I drink. Well, my family stresses me out. My this stresses me out. My that stresses me out, so I drink. Well, and I said, you're choosing to allow that stress for the reason to drink because you don't want to quit.
Exactly.
So that's an excuse within yourself. That's not a mistake no longer. That's a choice. Because unless you get divorced, you're going to have a wife to deal with. Unless you just plumb move out from your kids and family, you have a kid. Unless you quit or inherit a bunch of money, you're going to have to work. So those things are going to be there. And even if you get divorced, you're probably going to get married again, maybe not. But you're still going to have relationships with people you got to deal with.
Right.
So that stress then is going to be there until you deal with that. No, I'm not going to let that drive me to drinking and those things like that, and stop that. And the Lord will help you get out of that pit. The Lord will keep you from stumbling in whatever you get. But you've got to look to him, like that second verse says. So Kelly, if you stumbled, you was open about the fear and some of the things that you battled the last several years, and that's helped to keep you from stumbling over and over again. But most importantly, to know that God has got your back, that he's not sleeping, he's not turned away from you, but he's there.
Well, like this morning I came in and there was something that I need to deal with and I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to respond. I don't know how to deal with it. So I just put on praise and worship music, and I had it really blasting until Mike got here, and then I turned it down a little bit.
I heard it when I turned off the hot. No, it wasn't that bad.
But that's how sometimes that's how the Lord's going to speak to me through that, because when I get so heavily burdened by something, it's hard for him to speak to me because I'm so into myself that I won't hear him, or I won't hear from him. And so sometimes it's just getting into worship, into that, because when you get into worship, then the Lord can speak to you. When you're focusing on him and you're praising him and you're singing his praises, he can speak to you through that. So this morning, that's what I had to do. I still don't have an answer. I still don't know what I'm going to do. Still don't know how I'm going to respond. But the Lord listens, and the Lord will provide what we have need of. Went back and read a Facebook post that I made 5 years ago, and that it spoke again to me in today from 5 years ago. But
Right.
he will bring things to our mind that we need to hear, we need to see, we need to, and then just delving into his word and trying to find exactly what it is that he has for us. And sometimes that's hard because, like I said, we get so into what our difficulty is
Right.
that we choose not to hear him. And I don't ever want to be accused of not hearing him, so I'm really working hard on that and focusing solely on him. There's some tough days ahead, but I know that I'm going to get through them because of him.
Amen. And that's the thing, when you do that and you allow the Lord to watch over you, you know who's watching over you, that he has your back,
he does.
and that he's got you, and he's not going to let you get down that he can't get you out of. There's not anything that the Lord can't. And here's the thing, the Lord can get us out of anything. But I would rather, though, save people from what he had to deliver me out of, because it makes life so much easier. If I, growing up, if I knew what I knew now and stuff, then would have saved me from piercing myself with a lot of problems. But again, we kind of...
And that's what we use to help our kids, too, is we don't want our kids to go through the same thing that we went through or the hardships that we went through. And sometimes it looks like we're trying to boss them around, but we're really just trying to keep them from making the same mistake.
Yep, and that's true. And when we get help and say, you know what, I stumbled because I did this, and you're kind of going down that same path again. I'm not trying to tell you how to do or how to live your life.
Right.
You're an adult now, but again, this will not work out well. Trust me, I've been there and done it for a long time.
And sometimes our kids just have to learn by their own lessons.
They just
they're just going to go ahead and just jump right in. I have one of those that won't listen to a word I say. She'll ask for some help, but then she'll be like, "Oop, I'm going to jump in and with both feet, and I'll pay the consequences later." But I mean, that's the Lord uses people. The Lord uses music. The Lord uses His Word. He uses sometimes just a situation, and He helps us if we will allow Him to and keep our focus directly on Him.
And the thing about it is don't ever think that God doesn't care or God's not
exactly
moving,
right.
because when He says no, that is an answer. Well, God just not answering. God's not hearing me. I promise you, He's hearing you way clearer than you're hearing Him. I'll guarantee you. In that He sees, and He's ever watching and all knowing, and He's omnipotent in all areas of everything. And when we lock onto that, just okay, Lord, I'm going to trust. Even if I can't hear you, I'm going to trust you and either hear you through a song, like Kelly said, or keep reading your word, keep studying until I do. Because don't count God's slowness or God just being patient as slowness.
Yeah.
That's what He's saying.
His timing is perfect,
It is.
and that's the thing that we have to understand. We want to rush ahead, and we want to, get things done differently in our time than what His time is. And if we will just heed His will or heed Him, our timing would be much, much better. I have a family very dear to me right now going through a horrible, it's bad. But I know that even in the midst of this tragedy, that the Lord is there. And He's going to lift them up, and He's going to give them the strength that they need to walk this very difficult road without someone that they love so dearly. But He's going to be with them, and I know that. And I know that, they're going to question God a lot. And that's where people have to come around and surround them with prayer and love them as best as we can.
Yep, and that's the thing. That's hey, God still got this.
He
I know
is.
it's hard. There's grief here, and anytime you experience the loss of a loved one, be it a mom or dad, grandpa, grandma, spouse,
so hard.
kid. God forbid, a kid that many people have had. We've got a lot of people in our church. I've preached a lot of funerals for some of our folks' children. It just breaks your heart, and it's hard. But God's still good in that storm.
Yes, He is.
And, Casting Crowns is a song I've been listening to a lot. I'll praise Him in the storm.
Yes.
And part of that song is in this. I look up to the hills from where my help comes from is in that song.
Right.
Kind of one of the reasons that kind of pushed me over there is because I've been listening to it a lot. in that, because that's all we can do is just praise him and know he's not asleep. He's got us and he watches over us, and we'll get more into that tomorrow, that it's the Lord himself that watches over us and what all that entails. So God bless you. Have a great Tuesday.
Yes.
I think the rain's supposed to kind of clear out of here. I think here for too long be kind of cloudy, dreary day. But again, thank the Lord that we did get a little bit of moisture. Maybe we'll give the firefighters a break for another day or two on the grass fire. So it is dry. We've not got nowhere near the rainfall that we need to fill the ponds and
we still have
rivers
cracks in
and
our
things.
dirt.
It's still there. But God will get it. God will get us through it. He has before, and he will again in that. So God bless you again. Men, don't forget tonight, 7 o'clock men's meeting will be back over in the multi-purpose building.
Yes.
So 7 o'clock, come out tonight and join in our men's fellowship tonight. Any man's invited to come. Bring your sons if they're teenagers. This isn't set for the little guys, but teenage, we have some teenage 14, 15-year-old boys that come and they get along great. So come out. If you got a neighbor, got a buddy that ain't much on the church scene, bring them out tonight, and I promise you they'll get along fine. We've got a very wide array of men that gather here. So I don't think we got any really suit and tie we got a doctor that comes. We do. Dr. Hirschberger comes.
Yes, he does.
So we do have a doctor that comes, but it's everything from just good old boys, rednecks, cowboys, welders, mechanics, carpenters, you name it. We've got it that comes. So come on, and more than that, retired guys and stuff. So come on tonight, 7 o'clock for that. We'd love to have you
As
for
iron
that.
sharpens iron.
That's right, and that's what we're here to do, is to sharpen one another, not judge or condemn, but to sharpen. Tomorrow night on the 9th, our kids will be back in there, regular stuff.
Normal
It's
stuff.
back normal stuff. We got both for Fall Fest done, so little kids will be in at 6. Junior high and senior high youth, will be in at 7. Don't forget to go vote today.
Yes.
Today is election day, so
Even
go
if
out
you don't
and
know who
vote.
you're going to go
And
vote
so,
for, because I still don't know who I'm
Yep,
voting for
go
yet.
vote.
I'm
So,
still studying.
Yeah, you got to look at it, pray over it,
Yep.
and look at what they've done, what they haven't done. If they're an incumbent, you can look. Don't take very long to Google that. You can find it with just a little bit of effort and know what's going on. So God bless you. You can have a great Tuesday. Remember, it's faith over fear, Christ over crisis, and you can remain calm in the chaos.